Good evening and welcome to round 8 of the Sim Racing Hub International GT4 Championship, the penultimate round of the season. As we return from the 12-hour party down under at Bathurst, the GT4 grid come together to battle around an entirely different circuit here at Misano, Italy, with eyes, though, firmly fixed on that championship title. Tonight, drivers will be looking out at the competition, highlighting who they need to beat, to be within a shot of claiming not only a strong position in the points, but the top 5 in the standings, what they need to do to be within a shot of the title in 2 weeks' time. Last time out at Silverstone, Sem Spenkelink took his third victory of the season in a strategy-filled race that saw him utilise a longer first stint to emerge from pit lane with his lead still intact. He managed to beat pole sister Nicolas Malott to the win, the Porsche driver finishing in second place, his third podium finish of the season, elevating him to a strong championship position and to Spenkelink's closest contender in second place. Yannick Vanenduk's third place on the podium keeps him within a shout of the championship, but he does have a mountain to climb. From the high-speed thrills and spills of Silverstone tonight, we head to the Adriatic coast, and the manic Misano circuit, the 4.226-kilometre circuit, is famous for its motorcycle racing, but in recent years has seen the likes of DTM and GT3 series race around its technical layout. Factor in the typically hot Italian summer as well, and the drivers have a lot more to worry about than just each other and the corners here at the track. Tonight I'm joined in the commentary booth by Steve Proudly, and Steve, with this round, drivers are really wanting to set up a good shot at the title come the final round at the Nürburgring, but there's two ways of going about that. There's going out there and getting a good result, but that could be fighting hard, or it also could be sitting back and potentially playing it safe.
Yeah, good evening, Tim. Good evening, everybody that's watching. Yeah, absolutely. Playing it safe, that doesn't quite sound right, does it, on an SRHI grid? Everyone we know is sort of maximum attack, full send, hot potato, consistent, decisive, all those words that we've used in previous commentaries. I think we're going to get them all rolled into one tonight. Misano, what a track. Not one of my favourites, I have to say. It's one of those I never look forward to racing at, but when I get there, usually have some good battles and enjoy the races. It's a bit of a strange one for me. It's not my favourite track, but it does make for some good racing. We've got that phenomenal back straight where it's literally, dare I say it, balls out, literally flat out. It favours the brave, doesn't it? You know, if you can get a move down there, you are brave because you're trail braking heavily into that first right-hander of the series of 2 corners before you cut back on the tight right to head back for the the final couple of corners into the stadium. But yeah, I think we're going to see some real good racing this evening. And again, it's as we say every single week, whether it be the GT3 or GT4s, can't predict a winner. Garland's been up at top of the timing sheets this evening in practice. It's glorious sunshine. They're out on the track qualifying now. Some of them are just going round on their first flying laps, Tim. So yeah, it's all to play for, and it's going to be a good one, I think.
Well, it's not a circuit blessed with elevation changes at the Misano circuit, but it is certainly a technical challenge. The opening sector through turns 1 and 2, the Variante del Parco, the Curva del Rio, the double right-hander, and then, like Steve alludes to, you get to this really flat-out section towards the second sector and the end of the lap here, as you see Tim Krul crossing the line to set the first time, the benchmark in this half-an-hour qualifying session, a 1 minute 43.9, but I'm sure we'll see times dip below that not too soon. Krul going to be fighting back though. He didn't have the best race at Silverstone. He started up towards the sharp end of things in third place in a typically close qualifying session that saw the top 4 separated by less than 0.2 of a second. But in the race, he slipped back and found himself coming a cropper with drama, etc., down to 13th, and not a finish he needs to help his championship chances. But let's see if Krul can pull back some of the momentum lost at Silverstone and fight through tonight at Misano. Here's another driver who will be looking to get another strong result. Denise Pope finished down in 17th last time out at Silverstone, and she is the closest contender to Evan Tafas for the AM category championship. Those two are separated by around 40 points, I believe, and 42 points actually, and with 35 points for a win, it's a sizable gap to be closed down, but I wouldn't put it past Denise giving it a good shot. As here we go. This is this back section that we've spoken about as Suke Vervat in the Aston Martin heads into that tightening right-hander. And Steve, that's a part of the track really where you're, as we see Vervat running wide there, really having to balance the car, aren't you? Because you're trying to brake, you're trying to turn, but also you're trying to carry through as much speed as you possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it really does favour the brave, because you want to keep your foot in, but to keep your foot in, you've got to be on that perfect line. And if you are slightly off, if you're compromised in any way, shape or form, you've got another car to the inside of you, or just slightly making you take that slightly different line, you can soon run wide. Least of your worries are track limits, because once you get out there on the marbles, off the rubbered in section of track, the grip does become less, and when you get onto that painted section out there, you can really lose it, and you can end up a long way away from the track. And indeed, as we can see, there are some gravel traps, there's plenty of runoff areas, some gravel traps, but more importantly, the speed that the cars are going through there, if you end up off track and travelling a fair distance off, you can soon lose a lot of places there. So it's all about being precise here. It's all about keeping it on the line and pushing as hard as you dare. And we will see that this evening. There's a lot to play for still in this championship, and it's not just about points, is it? It's about the wins, because there's a lot of pride with these drivers. There's a lot of close battles week in, week out, and we've got Tim Crawl up there at the moment on provisional pole with a 1:43.6. He's 3/10 in front of Walters. Walters is a driver that I think promises a lot this season. He's had some really good drives, but he's had a lot of bad luck as well, and I think Walters is one that potentially should be further up the leaderboard more regularly, but I think, like I say, just has some bad luck, Tim.
Indeed, and this is a track where with those runoffs, those track limits, you can abuse them, can't you, Steve? And that's an issue, because you can rack those up in the race and find yourself handed a drive-through penalty for one too many strikes against your name. But yeah, Walters is a very quick driver, joined the season a few races in the KTM, so it's actually not until the 4th round, I believe, or even the 5th round, that he started racing with us at Zolder. Certainly made his mark in that race as we ride on board with the number 21, picking up a race victory as well at Zandvoort in that pretty spectacular wet race as well. So he has got the pace, and we do know that it's a close grid. So if you've managed to make an impact in only a matter of races, this will be his 4th race in this season. So to already have made an impact, made a bit of a name for yourself, that can be good and can be bad, can't it, Steve? Because bragging rights, isn't it, is the word that I feel like we're going to be using a lot in these last 2 races. Yes, it's about winning. Yes, it's about being in there with the championship, but also, you've got your eyes out looking for your competitors and just wanting to get one up on them.
Yeah, absolutely, and Walters in the KTM as well. The KTM, it's not a hugely popular car. It's a quick car in the right hands, as we've seen in this championship and other championships. If you can master it, if you can put the time in and practice with it, it is a rewarding car, and it is quick. Where it suffers, it's not got the oomph, the power, the torque to overtake. So it needs that clean air. It needs to be out in front. That's not to say somebody who's good with it can't battle through. They can, but it's just that much harder, and it's not the OP car that some people think it is. It does take some driving, it does take some skill, it takes some practice. But I think Walters and Spenklink, they're 2 drivers that really shine in this KTM, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens tonight if these conditions carry through into the race. Glorious sunshine, lovely warm track temp, very warm track temp. In fact, it's 42 degrees this evening. But I think we should just stay on board with Walters for this lap of Misano.
So he went through the double right-handed all over the curb on the exit of the first sector, the left-hander. It's difficult to get right that corner. You want to get on the throttle as early as possible, but run wide and you will pick up a track limits warning. Then through the long left at Curva Quercia, get the car into the inside, and then use all of the track available out onto the right. Bring the car over to the left and brake and turn as you come into the right-hander at Tremonto. Tightens up on the second part of the corner, and then really the exit is key. Get the throttle planted as soon as possible and get the car in a straight line for this long run down towards Curvone. and through the right hander, use all of the curb on the inside, and then use all of the available curb on the outside as the track tightens up here through the right hander into this final sector. Straighten the car up and drop the anchor once again into Del Caro, and then it's all about just nailing your marks through these final 2 corners. Use as much of the curb on the inside as you possibly dare, and then do the same at the final corner at Curva Misano. And make sure to use plenty of track on exit, but not too much. There's a bit of a grey area there as to when too much is too much. They certainly take plenty of curb on the exit. And that time for Walters, not his best, not an improvement, but he stays in 4th position. So we're 10 minutes into the qualifying session. Leading the way at the moment is Yannick Vanenduk in the 301 BMW. He's done a 1:43.2. Then the best part of 3/10 back is Tim Kroll in 2nd place. Then Andreas Garlin and Tom Walters round out the top 4. And Patrick Tractor up in 5th place at the moment in the number 313 Ginetta. That's a very strong performance. It's an all Ginetta 3rd row provisionally, with Dimitri Schenk in 6th place. Then we've got Alexander Delors, Xander Vale, Lee Mosley and Arjun Lermans rounding out the top 10 for now. Sem Spenkelink is out on track, and we just saw him before we cut to Andreas Garlin setting his first lap time, I believe. So we'll see where the championship leader puts his car on his first attempt. Here is Garlin in the 188 Audi, coming into the final corner at Curva Misano. Throws the car in, gets a nice clean run out onto the exit there. Crosses the line. Does he improve? No, not on that occasion. Well, he went quicker, but seemingly a lap time that was not within track limits, shall we say. He didn't keep it clean. Dirtied lap time somewhere around the track, and it's easy to do so here at Misano with these flat curb. Not like Zolder or somewhere like Spa, where there are a few lumpy and bumpy curves out there. Here, with the track more used for motorcycle racing than anything else, particularly flat ripple strips round the circuit. Garlin exiting the first sector and then down towards Curva Quercia.
Yeah, that previous lap, Tim, as well, it's a shame he obviously ran wide somewhere, because it didn't look a bad lap, and in fact it would have put him on the front row. It wasn't enough for pole position, but it would have got him within a 10th of Valenduk. So you know, he's showing that the time is there, the time's there to be had. He's currently a 10th up, 2/10 up in fact on the lap he's on now, so we'll just stick with him and see if he can carry that speed through, because he's obviously found some gains on this track and in the Audi, so he's pushing hard now in the bravest section of the track, absolutely flat out there, just taking up just enough of the rumble strip, and now he's trail braking there, heavy braking through there, but just balancing the car on that knife edge, just round a slower car there, keeping it tight to the apex. Beautiful line through there, really well controlled that, because you know, with the weight transfer there, Tim, the car can become so unstable, can't it?
Yeah, it's difficult as well, and with the Audi, he's got the weight back towards the rear of the car slightly as well, so bit of a hefty rear to kind of swing around the corners here. But as he crosses the line, Andreas Garlin does improve, and he goes to 2nd place, and there's a matter of hundredths of a second in the pole position at the moment. He goes up to 2nd place, a 1:43.254, 0.015 of a second slower than provisional pole. Yannick Valenduk holds on to top spot for now. Here's Alexander Delors, though, in the number 49 Lork driving 718 Cayman. He's currently in 6th place, 0.6 of a second off provisional pole, but going quicker on this lap.
Yeah, he was 6/10 up, but he seems to have lost it all just in one of the corners, lost a bit of traction. But another man who is up at the moment and could potentially take pole if he keeps the lap clean and if he doesn't get caught up in back markers, as it were, in slower cars. A lot of ifs there, but Spenkelink is currently 7/10 up. He has just run wide through that last corner, so I expect to see him maybe lose a 10th, but no, he's still maintaining 7/10 at the moment. He's got about half a lap to go, and he's really he's finding some time, just edging up well into the 7/10 up. So it definitely, as you can see there on the leaderboard, he's only half a second off that pole time, so this could put him into a convincing provisional pole position if he can maintain this time and keep it in those track limits.
Well, we've got 15 minutes of the session to go, and this halfway mark, Sem Spenkelink halfway round the lap at the moment, actually coming into this final sector now. looks set to jump to pole position. He'll need to keep it clean though. We saw Daniel Herkstra get out of the way, so there was no backmarker traffic getting in the way and impeding his lap time. Do curve for Misano, nice and cleanly, again using all of the available track limits on the exit. Stays to the middle and right hand side of the track to minimise the line, run to the line, and wow, there we go, pole position for now. Sem Spenkelink 1:42.972. That's the first lap time under the 43 buffer. So he jumps to pole position, now has a near 3/10 margin over Valenduk and Garland. And then it's Danny de Swart now who's jumped up to 4th place. Tim Collin 5th.
Big improvement for Walters, 8/10, I believe, if it's a clean lap.
So let's see, as he crosses the line, he jumps up to 2nd place. So for now, it's a KTM 1-2. Spenkelink leads Walters 0.2 of a second in it. So a massive improvement there from Walters. Just must have got the lap clean, must have found himself some space on track. There is about 24 or so drivers out there on the racing surface at the moment, so finding space is crucial. Walters seems to have done that. He is now in 2nd place. A spectacular lap time, but still not enough to knock Spenkelink from provisional pole, as Rick Lotterman here in the 26 BMW rounds the final corner. A bit of understeer on the way in, sees him run out wide, not quite taking the apex he would have liked. As he crosses the line, he goes from 23rd to 16th, so there was a good improvement there from the driver of the BMW.
Yeah, Tim Krull at the moment, he's got 1 to 2 tenths in the bag at the moment, so if he can carry this speed round, he's got a fair old way to go yet, but if he can maintain this, he could see himself, with a couple of tenths, he could see himself get up onto maybe up to that 3rd row of the grid. Bit more and he could get onto the 2nd row, but it's getting very tight at the top, as we're used to seeing the times sort of really close together in this championship. In the qualifying sessions, it's really competitive. What is good to see, I mean, we've got Spenkelink, sometimes he leaves it till the last minute really to get his best lap in, and other drivers we've seen during the season in qualifying have managed to get the best lap in very early on, but good to see Sem putting a good lap in early, taking some of the pressure off himself, although he's still I'm sure he'll come out again before the end of this session. He's currently in the pits, but he'll just be watching that time, watching that gap. As Tim Krull comes round, he's looking like he's got 3/10 up, so he's going to go up a couple of spots.
Kroll crosses the line, jumps up from 6th to 3rd place, and Kroll needs this. 2 finishes outside of the top 10 have seen him drop from his championship leading position that he's held thanks to a string of consistency in the opening 5 rounds. He's now 3rd, and you will need to get some good points on the board tonight to take the championship fight down to the wire at the Nürburgring. That's a strong lap though from the driver of the number 933 Porsche Cayman. 3rd place on the grid would be equal his performance at Silverstone. Unfortunately that race did unravel for him, but hopefully tonight he'll be able to keep things up towards the sharp end. Xander Vale on screen at the moment. He's in the 718 Mode 11 Cayman, coming up towards Curvone. He's currently 9th place at the moment, 9/10 of a second off Spenkelink's provisional pole time, but improving nonetheless as he drops the car into this right-hander, tries to keep all 4 wheels as close to the track surface as he can, rounding the right-hander. Then if you want to keep your eye on the live timings, you can head over to pitwall.live. And this is the screen that Steve and myself are looking at and using to work out who's where and who's going quicker as a Vale heads to pit lane. You can also see the track map there in the top right hand corner, and just how claustrophobic it can get out on track with 28 cars competing tonight. Not much room to go round here at Misano. Here's Arjen van der Linden in the number 14 Aston Martin, currently 19th in the standings, and behind a gaggle of AM class cars in the grid order at the moment. Herkstra in 16th, Lotterman, Pope and van der Linden separated by a couple of tenths. So an improvement from the driver of the number 14. Could see him leapfrog some of his competitors in the class. And here's Anthony de Horst in the number 67 Mercedes, rounding Curva del Rio through the left-hander. Such a tricky part of the track, trying to convince the car to go back the other way. And especially if you've got a bit of a slide on there. It can be really difficult to get the steering right, get your throttle and brake inputs right, and get the car to the apex. That's why we see so many drivers running wide and picking up track limits warnings, if not penalties, in that part of the track. Certainly a hot spot for that, so keep your eyes on that across the remaining 9.5 minutes of this qualifying session, and indeed the 1 hour race that lay ahead of us. So just a quick run through the standings then into this final third of the qualifying session. Yannick Valenduk has actually just jumped up to pole position. A 1 minute 42.885 has seen him take to the top spot by a margin of less than 900ths of a second from Sem Spenkelink. Then it's Thomas Walters and Tim Krul in the second row at the moment. And then in fifth, it's Andreas Garlin, Danny de Swart, Alexander Delors, Dimitri Schenk, Xander Vale and Suke Vervat round out your top 10. All of them separated by a little over a second. As Spenkelink is going to have to respond. The time is ticking, Steve, isn't it? And we, like you said, we've seen Sem pull out a lap right at the death, but around a track like Misano, where you can pick up these track extension warnings as he goes very wide on the exit of the left-hander there. The 8.5 minutes is a lot less time than it might seem.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to respond, but I mean, he's on the front row at the moment. Obviously, that's not to say Walters, Kroll, and anybody else on this track at the moment won't have something to say about that. But as long as you're on the front 2 or 3 rows, we've seen any number of drivers win races from sort of the front 4 or 5 rows of the grid, realistically, because anything can happen in the early laps, and it usually does. We see some great battling, so I think Spenkelink will be happy if he can stay on the front row. He'll be ecstatic if he can get that pole position back and just stamp his authority. But that KTM is a little bit of a missile if he gets the launch just right, and the BMW isn't the quickest car off the mark, I don't think. So if Spenkelink can get on the front row with Valenduk in the BMW, then odds on for Spenkelink to be the first man through turn 1.
We haven't had a winner from outside of the top 6. Thomas Walters doing it from 6th place, back of the 3rd row at Zandvoort. So let's see, these top 5 or so positions can be crucial. Spenkelink crosses the line, unable to respond. He could be on a bit of a warm-up lap and just getting himself ready. We did see him run very wide on the exit of turn 6. So let's see, can he get his head down and improve on this next attempt? Up towards Curva del Rio, gets the car stopped, but bobbling over the curb there. Manages to get it through the second right. Can he avoid the mistake he made last time? Ooh, just about the rear of the car hanging out there. I wonder if that might have been just one tyre too far, Steve, over the white line.
Yeah, he lost time. He wasn't really improving much at all. He maybe was round about a 10th, if that, but now he's gone to 4/10ths down. But worryingly for everybody else, Valenduk is going round at the moment, and he's just dropped back on par with his best time, but he was a 10th up. I think he's just backed off a little bit as he came up to some slower cars there. It's cost him, but he'll keep it pinned. I think now they'll all keep it pinned. Hopefully they've got enough fuel in there just to keep circulating as we come into the last 6 minutes of qualifying. So they're going to have to just keep circulating, get those laps in, and try and get the best time they can. We certainly Spenkelink hasn't eased off the gas, even though he's half a second down on his personal best. He's pushing. I think he's just trying to keep the heat in the tyres, in the brakes, and he's going to go for another flyer. As we see Valenduk, he's a 10th down on his best at the moment and running very, very wide there, just exploring the track limits as he goes into that very tight right-hander that is so difficult to get just right. And it's worth mentioning, you get that corner wrong and it just sets you up wrong for the next couple of corners as well, so it can have a really big impact on your lap time, and during the race a big impact on how you're defending or attacking somebody as well. It can really open you up to an attack.
Yannick Valenduk has really found form in qualifying since Zolder picked up pole at the Belgian circuit before going on to win. 8th place at Zandvoort, 4th at Silverstone, which saw him go on to take a podium. And he's now within a shot of the championship, 4th place in the standings, and only 18 points off the leader Sem Spenkelink. Tonight, this pole position could be crucial for the driver of the 301 BMW. Can he keep it together? Can he maybe extend the margin? Oh, there's a KTM round, and I believe that is Sem Spenkelink who's spun there. Yes, it is. The car facing the wrong way at turn 6. Time is ticking with just under 5 minutes to go. He will need to get back to pit lane, I'm sure, potentially strap on a new set of tyres and go again. Or if time is too short, he might just accept his fate now in second place. Vanenduk, I'm sure Vanenduk would have just smiled a little bit there, Steve, rounding turn 6 and seeing his competition facing the wrong way.
Yeah, absolutely, but it's Sem's obviously pushing hard. That was early in the lap on a push lap, but he's chosen not to go back to the pits. He's chosen to stay out, and he'll just be monitoring all the various temperatures, tyres, brakes, and things, and just seeing how the car feels now on those tyres after he's pushed them and had a bit of a spin on them. But he's definitely he's getting some heat into them, and he's going to go again. He's going to stay out. He's got 4 minutes left, so a couple more laps to get in for Spenkling. But Vanenduk, he's backed off out of this lap, but interestingly again he was 1 2/10 up during that previous lap before he had to back out of it, so he's definitely finding more time. The track is giving more grip, and he's going to push again in that BMW as it looks very, very planted through the corners. It looks very safe, very secure, and it's looking a very, very quick car tonight is the BMW in Vanenduk's hands.
Tim Krul, all the meanwhile, has jumped up to second place now in the standings and heads to pit lane. The top 3 separated by 900ths of a second. Vanenduk from Krul and Spenkelink. Here's Thomas Walters on screen. He's best part of 3/10 off the pace at the moment. And with time ticking, he's going to have to respond as Vanenduk is now back in pit lane. So the BMW driver potentially accepting his fate now with 3 minutes on the clock. It's going to be a close run thing to get round and get a couple of laps in. He will be able to get one more. That's not potentially enough time to get the car up to its working and operating window. As Walters rounds turn 6, he's flying down towards the curve of Quersha, dropping the brakes over the curb on the entry to the corner, throws the car into this long left-hander, and opts to stay off the curb as we've seen plenty of people run very wide there. But as the run into Tremonto looks fairly stable on the brakes, the KTM looks planted on the brakes there, but just on exit losing out, potentially a slide mid-corner. I've seen him take a slightly strange line there on the exit. I wonder if he did get a slide through the centre of that long hairpin that seems to tighten into the second part. Walters heading through Caverno though, through this flat out section. Can he keep it stable though? Heading into Del Caro, just about. Spenkelink behind will be tracing his competition.
Yeah, Spenklink's just run very, very wide, so this lap's not going to count. So Spenkelink, it's going to be all or nothing on this last lap for him, I think. He's going to obviously cross the line with enough time to get round one more time, I believe. Walters as well, it'll be interesting to see if he stays out. But yeah, Spenkelink is definitely pushing. He wants that to be at least back onto that front row, doesn't he? He doesn't want to start from that second row where he is at the moment, but those times are incredibly close. Walters is struggling to compete, obviously only 3/10 away from them at the moment, but that's putting him in P4, just showing you how close it is. But you're quite right, Spenkelink will be using Walters as a guide. He'll be following him. He's just in vision, but he's not too close behind him that it's going to cause him any problems, and he's going to be pushing on and like I say, using Walters as a marker. It'll be interesting to see if he can be up. Walters currently on this lap though is 7/10 down, so it looks like it's over for him. Spenkelink is 2/10 down on his personal best, so I don't think we're going to see any improvements to him, not at this end of the field anyway. We've got Arvidsson at the moment, who is 7/10 up on his personal best, down in P16, so that potentially could get him into the top 10, which will be a massive jump at this late stage in the qualifying.
Let's see if the Ginetta driver can climb his way into those top 10 positions, into the final sector now. Manages to get the Ginetta slowed down into the right-hander at Caro, then gets it up through the left. He's got one more corner. Can he get it done? Can he keep it clean? Into the left, drops the car onto the camber and into the apex. A rather clean run through there, maybe a little bit of a wiggle on the exit. He's going to cross the line. Where does Arvidsson go? Jumps up to 8th place. Best placed of the Ginettas as well. That's a stellar lap from Stefan Arvidsson in the garage RIP 101 Ginetta, and he pulls off to the side. That is qualifying done for him. He's happy with that. Checkered flag is out now, so the drivers out on track will be completing their final lap. Sem Spenkelink and Thomas Walters, though, have crossed the line to receive the checkered, so they won't be improving. They're locked in with their times, 3rd and 4th place at the moment. But here's Danny de Swart on screen in the Mercedes. I don't think he was improving, so it looks like the top 5 are fairly set. Yannick Vanendijk is still out on track just lapping, but I'm sure he will back out once he sees that the competition are in pit lane. And Steve, the top 3 drivers, Vanendijk, Kroll and Spenkelink, all fighting for the championship and all separated by less than a 1/10 of a second. What a very close qualifying session.
Yeah, I mean, look at those track conditions. Look at the glorious sunshine. It's absolutely perfect for racing today. Nothing less from Misano. I mean, it's going to be an absolutely awesome race. We have some real titans of GT4 up at the front of this grid with the Vanendijk, Kroll, Spenkelink, Walters, Garland, de Swart. You know, it's absolutely amazing. You know, we know how fast Kroll can be in that Porsche if he gets the right start. Again, a driver that's had a little bit of luck go against him this season. A lot of people do say you make your own luck, and I suppose in racing that is a way, you know, that is true to a certain degree. But we just want to see a really good race tonight, and we've got the right recipe for it with that grid. It should be an awesome race this evening, and very, very interesting opening few laps to see how they all settle down and see where they settle out in regards to positions as well.
Well, just another point onto how close that qualifying session was. Suke Vervat in the 73 Aston Martin was the first driver outside of a second of the pole time, and he's in 12th. So the top 12 drivers separated by a second, and even he's only a matter of hundredths in front of Lee Mosley and Patrick Tractor. So a really close grid here. 28 cars out there on circuit. They're all lining up on the grid at the moment before they begin their formation lap here at Misano. And Steve, we've seen it plenty of times in racing, GT3s, GT4s, you know, even in motorcycle racing in the real world. This first sequence of corners is crucial, isn't it? It can really set up your race, or unfortunately play a hand in destroying it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, that it's not, there's no easy opening sequence of corners at any track. You know, it's the cars are so bunched up and so close together, and everybody is trying to gain or steal that slight advantage on everybody else, and ultimately we get a little bit of contact, a little bit of rubbing, but everyone's going for that perfect piece of tarmac. So it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. There is enough room here. It's just the nature of the very quick right, left, right section of these the opening 2 or 3 turns here at Misano. So it's going to be a good one. I for one am definitely looking forward to this start, and I'm just I can't wait to get things going, to be honest with you, Tim.
So 60 minutes lay ahead of us here at the Misano circuit. Drivers will be required to make 1 mandatory pit stop. That's designated by the timing tower on the left hand side. You can see at the number 1 in an orange box next to all of the drivers' names. Once they've done that, that box will turn green. That will keep you across the strategy of who's where. Let's take a run down the grid order. Vanendijk and Kroll on the front row, Walters, and then there's a space there on the left hand side that was empty actually in front of Garland's Audi. Then it's de Swart. Then you have Zander Vale on the left hand side here in the 718 Cayman. Very handily numbered alongside Stefan Arvidsson. The best places Ginettas up in 7th. Then it's Arjen Lermans and Dimitri Schenk, and Alexander Delors rounding out the top 10. Then it's Suke Vervat and Lee Mosley, 2 Aston Martins before the bright orange Ginetta of Patrick Tractor. Evan Atafas, our AM class champion in waiting, in 14th ahead of Luke Pound. Then it's Frank Hopp, Daniel Herkster in the purple and pink Aston Martin. Then it's Rick Lotterman in the 26 BMW. Anthony Terhorst in the 67 Mercedes before Denise Pope, Arjen van der Linden, then Brent Weaver. Nicholas Malott down in 23rd place in the number 4 Porsche. That's not where he'll want to be, to see himself within a shot of the championship. He's second place in the standings, 14 points behind Sem Spenkelink. But starting down outside the top 20 is really not going to help his chances of being within a shot of the title at the final round at the Nürburgring. The top 4 drivers stand a really good chance of mathematically winning this championship. But anything can happen, usually does in this championship as well. So even Dennis Workman in 5th place could still take home the title, I believe, but some outside assistance, potentially a couple of miracles and maybe a freak of nature and the fat lady singing will see Berkman leave champion from the Nürburgring. But the race tonight will really be setting up that finale. We could see some of these championship contenders knocked out this evening. But one of the drivers who's certainly in the best place to keep his championship hopes alive is Yannick Valenduk. Here he is in the number 301 BMW. Not the first time he started from pole position. He had the pleasure of doing that at Zolder. And when he did start from first, he went on to take the race victory. So I wonder if he'll be trying to repeat that performance this evening. And here's Denise Pope in the 79 Wild Things Racing Ginetta. Down in 20th position at the moment. But she will be looking to fight her way through the order. She's got Mercedes and BMW to pass in front of her. And Denise best finished this season a 10th place coming at Spa in that condition-driven race where we saw the rain come down. But here, bright blue skies over the Misano circuit, 33 degrees C ambient, 42 track temperature. And Steve, that's something these drivers really have to think about, won't they, across this hour race, because it's going to be just taking that edge off the tyres a little more so than normal.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyre wear here, you put a lot of load on those tyres through some of those fast corners around that back straight there. They're just slight kinks, right, but the load that they're going under is absolutely amazing. And yeah, you're quite right, they're going to have to watch the tyre wear. Obviously we've got the mandatory pit stop, so strategy is going to come into play, but I think the strategy will be a pretty straightforward one this evening, as the weather is favouring a dry race tonight, Tim.
So as they round the final corner at Curva Misano and line up 2 by 2, Yannick Valenduk will take the start from pole position. And can he maintain that lead down in towards the opening few corners? As we go green here, Valenduk leads away cleanly, but behind, competition already for Tim Kroll as Andreas Garlin looks to the outside into turn 1. Walters on the inside, holds on to 3rd place for now. So it's Valenduk, Kroll and Walters 1, 2, 3 as they exit the first sequence of turns. Behind, it looks like a few drivers have come a cropper. That's Rick Lotterman facing the wrong way, and crucially, Sem Spenkelink looks to have dropped right down the order. He's down and outside the top 15, I'm sure of it, as Valenduk rounds Curva del Rio and through turn 6 to complete the first sector. He leads the way. Walters looking eager to make his way past Tim Kroll and take 2nd place on the road as they cross through the timing sequence. Yes, Spenkelink down in 20th position. So our championship leader is right down the order in the first few corners. Let's see how he fights back. He's on the outside of 2 Porsches there into the left hand. Oh, there's a car facing the wrong way, and Spenkelink headbutts the Aston Martin going through the left-hander at Quersha. There's going to be damage on the front of the 76 KTM for sure. And it's gone from bad to worse for our championship leader. Drama at the start there, Steve, for Sem. He's going to have to push on and hope that he can limp the car round and get up to the point.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to be a real test of character for any driver there to be involved in an incident early doors. Dropped him back down from what was a very good qualifying position down to 20th position, and then still on the first lap to then find a car facing the wrong way, and not only facing the wrong way, absolutely parked in front of you as well. So he had to come to a complete stop, made slight contact. We see Walters there in the background just really trying, really pushing it out wide, getting that KTM very loose over the rumble strips and a little bit more. He's pushing hard, he's trying to put the pressure on Kroll, he's trying to make some early moves, and it's like I said before, with the KTM it's a difficult car to overtake with, so you really have to hustle it, you really have to try try and apply as much pressure to the car and the driver in front, because the KTM is not an easy one to do that with.
So Walters definitely hanging things out as he tries to pressure Tim Krul for second place. But at the end of that first lap, Valenduk leads Krul, Walters and Garlin, your top four. Then there's a gap of a second back to Danny de Swart in fifth. Then Zander Vale up to sixth place. Stefan Arvidsson in seventh, ahead of Arjen Lermans and Alexander Delors, with Suke Verbat rounding out the top 10. As here's Brent Weaver in the 737 Porsche, looking to the inside there of Anthony Terhorst's number 67 Mercedes into Curva Quercia. Terhorst runs wide though, and that's going to be an easy picking for Brent. He makes up the position up to 17th now, as Terhorst has to fight hard as he goes deep in on the brakes. Oh, just about manages to get the Mercedes stop there into the right-hander at Tremonto. Doesn't make contact with the rear end of Brent Weaver's Porsche. And side by side, Frank Hopp and Nicholas Malott. Malott is in with the shot of the championships. They go side by side through Curvone all the way out over onto the curb. Malott needs to be gaining positions here and getting towards the sharp end of things before gaps open up and strategy. Oh, there's contact there. Hopp goes in deep and taps round Anthony Terhorst. He pulls over to the side of the track to wait and allow Terhorst through, but contact there. As we see, Tim Krul really now closed up to the back of Yannick Valenduk in this three-way fight for the race lead, separated by less than 0.4 of a second at the line. And the top three are really starting to gap the rest of the field. 2.5 seconds back to Andreas Garlin in fourth. He has Danny de Swart for company in the 57 Mercedes. But our championship contenders are all over the grid at the moment. Sem Spenkelink down in 20th position. He's leading the points at the moment. Nicholas Malott, second place in the points, is down in 18th. Then Tim Krul, who's third place in the points, is second on the road. And Yannick Valenduk, who's fourth, is currently leading the way. So there's a real mix of fortunes at the moment. We're not even 5 minutes into this one, Steve. We're seeing plenty of drama play out. But these drivers now need to get their heads down and really push on, start opening up these gaps and working out their strategy for the remaining 55.5 minutes.
Yeah, definitely, and what is becoming very apparent at this early stage of this race is just these cars. We've got three different manufacturers in the top three, and we see them over the start-finish line more or less nose to tail, but they spread out at certain areas of the track, and it looks to me, if I can make a judgment, that Walters is the one that's struggling the most to keep up. But you saw him then in the braking zone absolutely steam up to the back of Krul. But the BMW of Valenduk ahead stole the march on them on that back straight. It had the top speed, it managed to pull a bit of a gap. So this is a really well balanced, well poised battle here between three different drivers and three different manufacturers. It's going to be interesting because let's just see what Valenduk can do. He's got a bit of a gap now, a bit more of a gap than he had last time around. So can Krul close that gap up? Will Walters allow Krul to close that gap up? Because if he keeps him under pressure and stops him from driving his lines, as he's just had to lift out the throttle there, and again Krul, looks like Walters gave him a little bit of a nerf up behind. Then he's really close. This is going to be an intense battle, and I don't think this is going to be over anytime soon. But that KTM through the corners just seems to be able to carry so much more speed.
Really clean exit from turn 6 there, but Walters having to duck back in line on the run down to Quercia at turn 7, unable to get past on the straight. That Cayman just looking to have the edge in the straight line. Tim Krul holds on to second place for now. All this fighting is allowing Yannick Valenduk to scarper away at the top of the standings. 1.3 seconds.
Valenduk off!
He spun round to the inside at Tremonto. Valenduk off on the grass. He looks so comfortable in the race lead, but now he's made a mistake. Manages to file back in line in third place. There was a window to fall into ahead of Andreas Garlin, but nightmare for Yannick Valenduk, who looked to have the top spot wrapped up for now. He's now into third, managing to hold off Garlin, who did have a little look on the inside as they ran through Cavone and down towards Carrow at turn 14. But now that makes that fight between Krul and Walters even more important. It's for the race lead as they run through Curva Misano, the final corner on the track. Championship implications, of course. Krul fighting for the title. Walters a late addition to this championship, not in with a chance of the title. And Yannick Vanenduk in third place at the moment looked to be comfortable in the race lead. Now going to have to fight his way through these two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mistake, Steve, that he really couldn't afford to make.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he didn't need to make that mistake. He was gapping those guys, but it's easy to say he didn't need to do it. We're not there. We're not driving it. It's very difficult to we said this track is a difficult track to keep the car balanced. There's so much weight transfer. We know the cars react very differently to each other, but he just got a little bit of a break there because Garland is no slouch around this circuit either, and he was right on the tail of Vanenduk. But Garland made a mistake in the last couple of corners, which has allowed Vanenduk to get 1.5 seconds back up the road, and in fact Garland dropped down to 5th behind De Swart as De Swart capitalised on Garland's mistakes. But I tell you what, Vanenduk is not hanging around. He's catching these guys back up. As we look at Walters going up the inside there, Kroll just a little bit messy through that turn there, a little bit wide, left a bit of a gap, and Walters said thank you very much. Now they are going to go side by side. We're going to see if the KTM's got the legs on the Porsche, the bravest part of the circuit, and they are side by side, absolutely flat out, top gear. It looking like Kroll's got the speed, but he just had the wrong line. He was on the outside, and Walters, the brave, favours the brave there, and down the inside, kept the line, kept it pinned, and he's got that move. He's got P1. What can he do now, Tim? Can he stretch his legs? Will he get away from Kroll? And will Vanenduk have anything to say about any of it?
Well, Walters needs to kick on now, really needs to push away. If he's got the pace he seemingly showed up behind the bumper of Tim Kroll, now is the time to use it, because Vanenduk is certainly showing why he got pole position and why he thinks he should be leading this race. He's halved the gap to the top two on the course of that previous, now down to 0.5 of a second behind Kroll. Top 2-3 drivers actually separated by 1.1 seconds as they cross the line. Here's a battle for the outer points position. Arjen Loermans in 8th place, battling hard with Suke Vervat. Looked to be contact behind there. That's Evan Atafas in one of the Aston Martins running through the runoff slightly. And all stuck together is this battle pack. Loermans, Vervat, DeLorde, Tafas, Mosley, Tractor, all nose to tail through the first sector. Evan Tafas, he's leading the AM Class Championship, and this really see him within a shot of claiming the title tonight with his competition, Denise Pope, the last of the point scorers in 15th. But look to be contact there between Tafas and Mosley as they head in towards turn 7. So that's not going to be helpful. Rule 1 of racing's definitely not hit your teammate, but seemed to be contact there. Patrick Tractor actually looking now to the outside of the Tafas, trying to benefit from the infighting there between the black, orange and blue Aston Martins. Here's Arjen Loermans, though, side by side with Suke Vervat into Curvone. Vervat on the inside, surely the high ground through this section, and he's got the move done. He jumps up to 8th place, and the LRS Racing Camaro drops down to 9th for now. It's going to be hurried on, though, by Alexander Delors, who's in 10th in the 49 Cayman. Then it's a Tafas and Tractor who are going at it here for positions 11 and 12 as they head in towards curve at Misano. We've had over 10 minutes of this race. I feel like we've had an entire season's racing in one. As contact behind, I think that was Dimitri Schenk spinning off into the barrier on the inside. Contact potentially with Lee Mosley's Aston Martin, as Arjen Loermans manages to hold on to 9th place, but Delors is looking feisty, and in fact Loermans looking up the inside as Suke Vervat on the exit of the opening sequence at Variante del Parco. These 5 drivers are separated by less than car lengths, it seems. These gaps are minuscule between them. They're having to balance their own cars' performances against the performances of the other cars out on track, not coming under any mistake on the brakes or being caught off guard, utilising the strength of their particular machine to maybe make a move. And here a driver definitely wanting to make a move is Yannick Vanenduk. We've seen how quick this BMW is in a straight line, and he certainly is the fastest out on track through that middle sector, which has a lot of straight line sections. Top 3 flash through past the camera there through Curvone. Vanenduk flying up towards the back of Tim Kroll now. Top 3 separated by a second. As Loermans once again trying to fight back on Suke Vervat, all over the curb through Curvone as they run down through this sweeping section. dropping the brakes and turning into the right-hander, trying to get the car stopped for Caro at turn 14. And he nearly runs into the back of the Aston Martin, but manages to get the number 46 Camaro stopped just in time. This keeps out of drama for now. This this 5 cars still all joined together. None of this drama seems to separate them, but this is exactly what we like to see, Steve, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And just rest assured for everyone watching, I am watching the lead battle on another screen, and as that gets tighter, I will bring it back to you. But these guys are absolutely going for it, hammer and tong. Great credit to all of them. Some fantastic driving. They've come so close to each other, but everything is also controlled and also precise. And wow, what a race this evening. None of them want to give a position. They are battling for the lower points. Well, we just see Lawman's there and is that Delore, I think, coming together. A little bit of side-by-side contact, which is always a shame to see, but the rest of the guys are there to pick up the pieces and really start to push on. And I think that's Spenkelink in P12, so he's on his recovery drive and making his way through at this moment in time. He's looking to put some moves on some of the guys ahead. He's making progress, but steady away. But meanwhile, up at the front still, it's all as they were, with the gaps still close. And Valenduk, credit to him, he's the fastest one of this top 3, Tim. He's proved that by catching them all back up again, because he literally was a position down plus a few seconds, wasn't he?
Oh, as Walters slightly wide there through the right-hander at turn 13, and that's just enabling them all to close up. Look, they're practically bumper to bumper through turn 14 at Caro. They managed to avoid any contact there. Walters making a slight mistake though, backing that KTM up into his competitors. Once again though, Walters running wide at the final corner at Curva Misano, and I'm sure he's starting to tally some track limits infringements against his name. Certainly going to be treading a fine line come the end of this race. If he keeps doing that, he will receive a drive-through penalty, and we've seen how costly those can be in a championship that is so close. Spenkelink manages to dispatch 2 drivers towards the end of the lap up into the top 10. He was inside the points anyway in the top 15, with 45.5 minutes to go. Being up into the top 10 is crucial once the strategy starts playing out. Looks like no one's made their mandatory pit stop yet, so we're still waiting to have our first callers to pit lane. The top 3 separated by 0.8 of a second, and that's exactly what you like to see in a fight here with major championship implications. But you've got the feeling that Yannick Valenduk will be making a move soon. We've seen how quick the BMW is in a straight line, as it looks like Kroll is alongside Walters. There's an overlap there at the right rear quarter panel of the KTM. They're going to be side by side into Curvone. Kroll's going to get through, retakes the race lead. The number 933 Porsche to the top of the pile through a daring move into Curvone. Manages to get the car stopped through the right-hander at turn 13, but Walters closing in on the brakes once again. The driver of the number 21 KTM, I'm sure he's sick of the back of that Cayman, and we've only had 15.5 minutes of racing. Kroll through to take the race lead. Let's call them across the line, as we are a quarter of the race distance completed. Tim Kroll leads the way as a very minuscule margin, but Walters making a mistake. Gapping, actually dropping off the back of the KTM and allowing Valenduk to look to the inside into turn 1. So it's Kroll, Walters, Valenduk, your top 3. Kroll and Valenduk first and third, daring with a shot of the championship. This result crucial to set up their chances come the final round at Nürburgring. Then it's Danny de Swart, who has been there in 4th position since the start of the race, but unable to make an impact so far, ahead of Andreas Garlin in the number 188 Audi. Then it's Stefan Arvidsson, who's climbed up to 6th place, best place of the Genettas in the number 39 machine. Then it's Arne Vale in 7th, Suke Vervat and Arjen Lermans in 8th and 9th, ahead of Sem Spenkelink, our championship leader, who was outside the top 20 at the end of lap 1, but has climbed up towards the top 10 now, ahead of Patrick Tractor, Denise Pope, Evan Atafas, Lee Mosley and Brent Weaver in 15th, rounding out your points scoring position. Then it's Nicholas Malott down in 16th. He will need to get inside the points to see his championship fight go down to the wire at the Nürburgring. As to the inside goes Valenduk on the run down towards Curvone. Can he get up the inside of Walters? Yes, he gets the move done through the fast right-hander. The number 301 BMW up to second place, but Walters fights back into 13th. Contact. Walters round, and he's off the track. Danny de Swart has to take evasive action as the number 21 is on the racing line. Manages to turn it back around, but Steve, that collision there, you just feel like he went for an opportunity where maybe he could have just accepted the position. I mean, 43 minutes to go, plenty of time to make the pass back.
Yeah, put my neck on the line, my head on the chopping block, and yeah, that wasn't a move that was on. That was, fast part of the circuit, a really difficult braking zone. The BMW's gonna have the legs on you. The KTM, yes, it's good in the braking zone, but with 42 minutes to go, was that a risk too far? Well, it looks like it, and it's certainly been damaging to Walters, and I don't think you can really blame, in my opinion, you can't really blame Valenduk for that one. I think that was all on Walters, just trying to really, just be a little bit hasty with that move. I think patience would have paid dividends. He would have still been there right now behind the back of Valenduk, applying the pressure to that BMW, but unfortunately now he's dropped to what looks like P5, and just a very, very difficult situation for him there. I think, like I said, with respect to Walters, I think he made the wrong decision there going for that move, personally.
Well, he saw the opportunity to fight back. There was a closing door and he tried to get the KTM in through it, but Valenduk held firm. Really just a tap of contact through a corner where the cars are heavily loaded through that turn 13. And unfortunately, Walters coming unstuck there, drops down to 5th place. Plenty of time though to fight back, and if he's got the pace to do so, I'm sure we will see that number 21 KTM back in with a fight towards the end of it. Alexander Delors there, fighting away with Nicolas Malott. Again, I emphasise this, Malott is a championship contender, but tonight's race is seeing that slowly slip away from him. He's outside of the points at the moment, down in 17th place in the number 4 Porsche Cayman. He will need to get inside the points and score strongly if he's within a chance of taking his fight down to the wire at the Nürburgring. Lee Mosley here in a battle with Brent Weaver and with his Aston Martin fellow Aston Martin driver Evan Atafas, who is our AM class champion in the waiting. I say that because there's a sizable gap between him and closest competitor Denise Pope. We've seen how things can change, but at the moment Denise will be needing to take an overall race win to see the fight in that class go down to the wire at the Nürburgring. And let's see what happens then as a wolf very sideways in the background. Suke Vervat manages to get the number 73 Aston Martin gathered up as Arvidsson runs wide through Del Rio, and Vale sniffs blood and goes to the inside to try and make the move. And on the exit of turn 6, gets the switch back in the 718 Cayman. He's going to have to drop back though into the slipstream and maybe try onto the brakes. Yes, he looks to the inside into Curva Quercia. Up the inside goes the 718 and he gets the job done. Runs slightly wide though on exit. That's allowed Arvidsson to cut back to the inside. They're side by side now on the run up towards Tremonto, but it is Arvidsson who's on the outside, Vale on the inside. And Arvidsson all kinds of squirmy in the braking zone, seemingly sliding all the way through that corner. And he drops back behind 2-3 cars. Sem Spenkelink now getting through as well on the run up towards Covone. So that's going to put him into ninth. This gaggle of cars fighting away. 5 cars separated by a matter of tenths of a second. Lerman's quite wide there through the right hander in the... Oh, sideways. Sem Spenkelink. That caught drifting, four-wheel drifting the KTM through turn 13. This is a sign, Steve, that Sem is pushing. He wants to get back up towards the sharp end.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to the guy, I mean, if the race finished now, you'd be impressed with the fight back that he's had from lap 1, where he was 20-odd positions in arrears, now to be back into the top 10, and he's got 3 cars in front of him that could see him jump very easily up to 6th, even 5th place. Walters is in that 5th place, not too many seconds up the road, so considering where Sem was, that's not a bad drive so far, and he's still got 38 minutes to keep improving. So he's obviously, whatever damage he did pick up, because you're quite right in your statement early on, he must have had, there's another position I think, but yeah, he must have picked up some damage, but he's obviously weathering the storm and the car's reacting how he wants it, and he's doing a great job. What isn't changing, and the 2 people that are doing a great job, the guys up at the front, Kroll and Valenduk, they are pretty much matching each other for lap times at the moment, and the gap is staying relatively stagnant. You know, there's a 10th here and a 10th there, but it's staying around about that second mark to 1.2 over the last couple of laps. Kroll seems to have found his feet, found his pace, and he's trying to apply his trade now and just protect that lead. And it's not looking like he can extend the gap, but he's doing enough to stay where he is and keep Valenduk at bay. And Valenduk, it has to be said, is pushing hard. You can see him going over the track limits and using all of the track and a bit more, and sliding the BMW ever so slightly, but he's definitely pushing to keep up with Kroll. So this is good, and they are absolutely getting a gap between themselves and De Swart, who's in third place now. So it's battle for these two for the top 2 steps of the podium.
So Kroll, Valenduk at the top. They've got a 6.7 second lead over Danny De Swart. And here is Sem Spenkelink, a driver who we do know is capable of driving round damage. We saw him involved in a collision right towards the end of the race at Zandvoort, and he told us his steering wheel was 90 degrees off centre basically, and was steering around it for the final 5 minutes.
That car was a write-off, Tim. That was a write-off. That wasn't damage. That was absolutely Cat D whatever write-off. It was shouldn't have been on the track, and I'm sure in the real world he would have been black flagged and told to get his backside in the pits.
He wouldn't get much money back for scrap if he decided to crush that KTM and sell off the metal.
Oh, he's making another move.
Is certainly back and fighting hard. Gets the job done on Suke Vervat, who made a mistake through the left-hander at turn 6. Spenkelink up to 7th place, and with eyes firmly locked on moving forward still. Next in the crosshairs for the driver with the number 76 Dark Sky Racing KTM is Zander Vale in the 718 Cayman in 6th place. As Denise Pope comes in with a full head of steam into Tremonto, but gets the car stopped. And in fact, I wonder if Tractor just dropped off the brakes in order to avoid contact, and in doing so, Pope was able to just slide up the inside. Thank you very much. P10 for me.
I
what
think
a great move.
He pulled out wide to change his underpants. He saw her coming in the mirror and just scored brown. Wow, Denise Pope, you know, when we talk about decisive moves, you've got to really mean it. You've got to do it. That's what you mean. That's what we're talking about there. It was literally, where did she come from? But it was a full send, but totally under control, and credit again to both drivers. You know, the Tractor was aware of it. Pope had the ability to pull it off, and good move done as Tractor runs a little bit wide there just through the final turn. But I tell you what, Pope's got a full head of steam on now. P10 for Pope. That's a good position for her at the moment.
Best placed of the Janettas as well, because Stefan Arvidsson has made his mandatory stop. He's now down the order in 22nd place. As we see a move for the race lead, Valenduk to the inside into turn 7. Kroll on the outside, Valenduk on the inside around the left-hander. There's a little bit of contact, and once again trading paint on the exit. Kroll now has the inside line though, up towards Tremonto, where we saw Valenduk lose his race lead early on. Kroll goes deep, the car sliding out wide on the brakes. They're still side by side. There's almost another exchange of blows between the two of them. They're door handle to door handle on the run up towards Curvone. Valenduk on the inside. Get the feeling that he's going to claim the race lead and return to the top step as he does so, as Kroll opts to just file in behind. But Valenduk racing hard, but racing fair there. The two of them not wanting to give up the race lead, Steve.
He had his and rest of his family's elbows out there, didn't he? He was really sticking it out wide. And, you know, to be fair, the Porsche was never going to beat the BMW down that straight once they were side by side. And Kroll doing the smart thing there, just falling back in, because there hasn't seemed to be a lot of difference between the pace of these two. Not unless Valenduk's finally found his feet and he's going to really, you know, pull the gap now. But it's Kroll just needs to control himself, just be calm, do exactly what he's done so far, and just think about the full race distance and see what he can do. But yeah, that was a bit of a move from Valenduk, and he made his intentions clear very early on with those extra wide mirrors, and just giving Kroll a little bit of a nudge saying, I'm here son and I'm coming through.
Well, these are very strong positions to be in. Not only are they first and second in the race, but considering the championship with Kroll and Valenduk on 154 and 151 points respectively, they are both within touching distance of Sem Spenkelink's championship lead, and the 76 Cayman KTM, all the way up to 6th place now. This has been a stellar drive in this opening half of the race, considering the damage done to that KTM crossbow and the opening lap. Now inside the top 6. This is a really good performance from Denise Pope. We've seen some strong showings throughout this season. At the moment, it looks like the number 79 Wild Things Racing Ginetta has found a groove and is certainly using it here at Misano. Denise's best result, 10th place at Spa. Very different circuit here at Misano, but she's managed to get the G55 GT4 working and up to 10th place at the moment. Here's the next best Ginetta, Patrick Tractor, fighting away in 12th place with Brent Weaver.
Yeah, we've had some. I think Denise Pope's had a really good showing this season in the GT4s in that Ginetta. Thinking back to Spa, where she seemed to be competitive right to the end there. She's had some good battles on track. Not always the best finishing positions, but when we've cut to her, she's been battling hard, and she's got some good overtakes in. And 10th position at the moment. That's the least she deserves, and hopefully we'll see her move up a couple more places, maybe, because she's certainly showing that she's got some pace, and she's certainly pushing hard. She's lapping slightly faster than the guys in front of her at the moment, by round about a tenth, faster than the next 2 guys, even 3 guys. She's actually matching Vivat in P8 at the moment, so she's definitely going to catch him and look to put a move on him soon, hopefully.
So let's see how Denise's race continues. We're nearly at the halfway point. Reminder that drivers do need to make one mandatory stop. They will need to come to pit lane. And here's an important scene out on track. Ballenduck, leading the race, is about to put a lap on Nicolas Malott, who is in 2nd place in the championship, but not having a good race here at Misano. And the number 4 Porsche Cayman has made his mandatory stop, so that's why he's dropped so far back. But this is a bit of a headache for Malott, who runs wide there at Carrow. He's almost just going to need to accept that he's off track and let the race leader through. He now drops in line in between Ballenduck and Kroll, and it runs wide again through the penultimate corner and into the final corner at Curva Misano. He's going to be receiving waved blue flag to notify him that he is amongst the race leaders. And an interesting scene there on track, because Malott is the best placed in the points anyway to catch Sem Spenkeling, but down the order at the moment he's going to need to fight through and have a strong second half of this race here at Misano. So as we tick over to the halfway mark, let's take you for a run through the standings. Half the race done, half the race to go. Ballenduck leads the way from Kroll. Then in 3rd place it's Danny de Swart, Andreas Garlin and Sem Spenkeling now up to 5th place, as a number of drivers head to pit lane. Walters, Pope and the Tafas trundling down to their pit stop positions. So Spenkeling 5th. Then it is Zander Vale and Suke Vervat ahead of Patrick Tractor. And it will be Lee Mosley who will take up 10th place on the road as they all file through pit lane. So that's your top 10 for now. But these positions will cut and change as drivers make their mandatory visit to pit lane. And it's quite a long pit lane here, Steve, isn't it? You dive into the pit lane before the final corner, and then you trundle past turns 1 and 2 and actually rejoin it at turn 3, but you spend a lot of time on the pit lane speed limiter.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those frustrating pit lanes where the pit exit especially, you sort of seem to leave the pit lane, as it were, where all the garages are, and it's a very long lane down towards the track where you can't release the limiter until pretty much the last split second as you come onto the track. So it's a frustrating one, but it's same for all the drivers, so it's not as bad as Spa. There's always a glass half full sort of philosophy there, that there are worse tracks than this one. It's frustrating, it's difficult, and when you're making your pit stop, you appreciate everyone else around you's got to do the same, but it doesn't. It's not enjoyable watching those positions tick away as you drop down the order. So. Doing a great job, all the guys out there at the moment, and we'll start to see a lot more of the guys pit. It'll be interesting to see when the leaders come into pit, see if they hit their marks right, because as we know, if you don't quite get it into the pit box correctly, you can lose a lot of time, and it can be detrimental obviously to your race, and if the mechanics have to put you back into position, you can lose 1 or 2 seconds, and at this moment in time that'd be enough for Valenduc to lose the lead. So it's still all to play for up at the front. I'm just hoping that Valenduc hasn't broken Tim Krol. He's got past him again. He's got back out into the front after catching them up and after making that early mistake. And is Tim Krol settling for second place? Do you think now, Tim? Do you think he's going to settle for that, or do you think he's going to push on hard? I mean, the time's come down a tenth and a half to 2 tenths now, but gotta say it's looking like Valenduc's got the pace here.
Well, I mean, settling for second place as things stand would not be a bad decision for Tim Krol. If Valenduc wins, he leaps up to 186 points, as we see Krol dives to pit lane, actually following Valenduc in. So this is a crucial point of the race with 27 minutes to go. The drivers 1 and 2 on the road are now in pit lane. Does Spenkelink respond, or does he stay out on track? Let's see as the KTM rounds the penultimate corner. No, he dives to pit lane, so he's mirroring the strategy of the race leaders. Let's see if that helps him out in this second half of the race. Could see him leap up the order, but if they finished out to pit lane,
that's mighty close.
Valenduc looks to have just kept the lead from Tim Krol there. Very close indeed as they pulled away from their pit position. And here we go, Steve. We can just see them trundling around this pit lane. They've even got to go round this right-hander before they hit the pit limiter.
Yeah, that was so close there, and Krol definitely had the faster stop than Valenduc, has to be said, and just another split second there, and Krol would have stole the march on Valenduc and got that position back, but they're off the limiter now, stay the right side of the white line on the pit exit, and let battle commence once again, albeit a little bit further down the field, but obviously the guys in front, the top 4 have all got to make a pit stop yet. Interesting to see Spenkelink making his pit stop, I won't say early on, but we've seen Spenkelink go a lot further than that before pitting. But drama, Spenkelink stopped. He's parked up on pit exit.
I was going to say, this pit stop looked to be taking a lot longer than usual for Sam Spenkelink. Stopped on pit exit. I wonder what happened there. He looked to have stayed in pit lane for a little longer than the other drivers, potentially just taking some of the damage fix that he sustained on the opening lap. But Spenkelink losing a lot of time there. Our championship leader is going to be outside of the top 10. In fact, at the moment, he looks like he's in 13th place. Whereas his competition, Valenduc and Krol, are up in 5th and 6th despite taking their pit stop. So not good at all for Spenkelink, as Rick Lotterman seems to forget where the racetrack goes there in the background. The green and silver BMW sliding off at turn 13. It's very easily done though. It's such a fast corner. So let's see if Rick can get the car in the right direction and continue. He's down the order at the moment.
Pushing the limits, and Lotterman with a stop-go 30, guessing that's for speeding in the pit lane. He's in the pits now, just taking that, so that's pretty much put pay to his race this evening. Obviously, he will have to enter the pit lane. He will have to park in his pit box for an extra 30 seconds, and then obviously exit. So that's gonna push him right down the order. So always sad to see, but obviously just changed up to second gear or removed the pit limiter just that little bit too soon, or didn't hit the brakes hard enough on the way in. It's usually the previous. It's usually a case of letting the pit limiter off too soon or changing up to second gear, which automatically, as we just see a little bit of contact there with Natafas and Arvidsson just coming through the last corner there. Natafas is looking to steal a march on that 15th place, and he's pushing hard and almost pushing too hard on the Ginetta in front.
Drive-through penalty for Thomas Walters in the number 21 KTM. We pointed it out earlier that he looked to be using all of the track and then some in the opening few laps and in his battle with Valenduc and Krol, but he's now come under the wrath of the stewards. He will have to head to pit lane and serve the drive-through. As Denise Pope is now up to 7th place in the number 79 Wild Things Racing Ginetta. This is a fantastic drive from Denise, who's now up inside the top 10 comfortably, and with Deswart and Vervat now in pit lane making their stops, we could see her up inside the top 5. Factor in Walter's penalty as well. This is a fantastic drive from Pope. What a race and what an opening at 38 minutes for the 79 Ginetta.
Yeah, absolutely. They say 22 minutes left on the clock to go, so not that long, relatively speaking. And Denise Pope having a solid performance this evening, and like you say, up to 7th place. Walter's got a drive through ahead, so she's only 14 seconds behind him, so she's definitely going to get that 6th place. Just be interesting to see what happens to Deswart and Vervat, who is in 1st place at the moment and still to make his pit stop. I think maybe the gaps are just a little bit too big maybe for her to gain an advantage there, but we will see. It'll all pan out in the next few seconds as they cross the line and sort themselves out.
Looks like Vervat is still trundling down pit lane, so this could be another position gained for the number 71. We will see as they all emerge back onto the racing surface as Pope rounds the first 3 corners, and there in the background there, that is Vervat, I believe, rejoining behind the number 79. So it looks like Pope has gained another position. There we go, confirmed on the timing tower. She's now up to 6th place, and with Walter still to serve a drive through, you would say it's a net 5th place on the road if she can keep it clean. Here is Evan Natafas down in 14th, battling hard with Arvidsson, as Steve pointed out earlier. This is the fight for 13th and 14th. Certainly no love lost between these two. They are fighting hard. 2 very different cars as well. The Aston Martin Vantage and the Ginetta G55. Going to generate their performance in different ways. You would expect the Aston Martin to have the legs in a straight line, but the Ginetta to fight back through the more technical sections. Let's see how that battle unfolds as Brent Weaver is battling away with Lee Mosley. This is a fight for 18th and 19th. Brent looks to the inside in towards turn 7. Can't get the move done there. And as Lee runs slightly wide on the exit, quite an uncomfortable exit it seemed there. The car just adjusting itself under the throttle and up towards Tremonto. Can Weaver get a good exit? Yes, it seemed Mosley just ran wide there through the final part of the corner, and that's allowing Weaver up the inside. They are side by side into Curvone, but it looks like Weaver has got the job done before the right-hander. That's not going to stop Mosley having a look to the inside and potentially trying to distract. As he gets deep on the brakes and avoids the rear end of the Cayman, but in doing so runs through the gravel at turn 13. He's a long way from the track. We need to get back online shortly, but he will need to do it cleanly. It looks like in the background there, still couldn't see the Aston Martin on the racing surface. In fact, he's dropped back to pit lane, so I wonder if he went straight on and into the barrier there and picked up some sizable damage inside the final 20 minutes. Not a nice ending there as Walters looks to the inside. What happened there? Garlin just ran deep into Tremonto. Walters said, "Thank you very much. Don't need to ask me twice." Up the inside. P4 on the road, a change of position. And look at this battle pack. Vervat, Vale, Lermans, Tractor, all together on the road. And Lermans goes in deep. Guys to go around the outside, not going to work. He slips off wide into the runoff at Tremonto, in through the gravel as well. That's going to allow Tractor through. So he goes from fighting for 8th to now back in 10th or so. Spenkelink in the background as well, looking to fight through. There's the lapped car in there as well, which I believe is Jan-Paul Eikelenboom in the Mercedes, the black and yellow car. There's battles all the way up and down the order, Steve. I don't know how you're deciding where the camera should be pointing.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting, hence why I'm not doing a lot of talking this evening, because I'm trying to find the battles, or not, should I say, not trying to find the battles, but just time it correctly to switch to the right ones, hopefully, so we don't miss anything. And secondly, just try and tell the story that's unfolding this evening, because it's an awesome epic tale of battles and overtakes and outbraking manoeuvres and hot potatoes down the inside. Absolutely. I mean, there's been some fantastic moves. I mean, that move from Denise Pope, that move from Walters there, you know, some very good outbraking manoeuvres and respect shown from both drivers, awareness shown done from both drivers to know when to turn in, when not to turn in, and there's been some really good racing again, as we always expect in the SRHI GT4 Championship. A fantastic class of cars, the GT4s. It always promotes close racing. A little bit of rubbing here and there, and not too much damage. Spenkling up to 10th place after having whatever the issue was as he exited pit, so he's got a bit of work to do to get back sort of up to further up the top 10, but with only 17 minutes to go in this big battle in front of him, I think he's got his work cut out at the moment. But Walters has taken his drive through, and I tell you what, the story of the evening so far is this lady, Denise Pope, up to 5th place now, and looking relatively comfortable, dare I say, in 5th place, because she is lapping faster than the cars behind her at the moment, and in fact is lapping faster than Garland, who's in P4. He did a 1:45 on his last lap, and Denise Pope did a 1:44. She was about half a second quicker than Walters, so albeit she's a good 16 seconds roughly, I think, behind. It's a big gap, but it's not insurmountable if she keeps going at that pace, and all it takes is Garland to make a bit of a mistake and her to be consistent, and we could see her battling up to 4th place.
The only drivers comfortably quicker than Denise Pope at the moment are the leading duo. That just emphasises how strong this performance is from the driver of the 79, Ginetta. Let's see though, 16.5 minutes to go. Can she keep it in this position, or can she push on? She is quicker than Garland, like Steve said. Let's see though how this race pans out, because behind Zaan de Vale and Suke Vervat are managing to just pick up the pace a little bit. They do have a gap of over 4 seconds. Well, it's down to 3.6 now to close if they want to take that top 5 finish from Pope. So Valenduk leads away from Kroll. Then it's De Swartins 3rd and Garland 4th. Denise Pope, like we've said, up to 5th place. A stellar performance from where she started on the grid. Down in 21st place, Steve. So from 21st to 5th. A fantastic opening 3/4 of the race so far for Denise. Then it's Zaan de Vale, Suke Vervat, Patrick Tractor and championship leader Sem Spenkling in 9th, but that could shortly become 8th place as Tractor makes a slight mistake through the right-hander at Tremonto. No, he holds on to that position for now. Then it's Arjen Lermans in the 46 Camaro, rounding out your top 10 ahead of Thomas Walters, who has now served his drive-through penalty. He's in 11th in the 21 KTM. Then it's Nicholas Malott up to 12th place. He's 2nd place in the championship. Crucially, getting a couple of points to his name for 12th place at the moment, ahead of Evan Atafas, Stefan Arvis and Daniel Herkstra, rounding out the points-paying positions in 15th place. Then it's this battle. Then it's Dimitri Schenk, in the number 8 Ginetta, ahead of Alexander Delors and Brent Weaver. I feel like these two Porsche Caymans have been stuck to each other for the entirety of the race so far, and they're still going at it down in towards turn 13 and turn 14 at Caro.
Yeah, Delors Porsche is looking a little bit worse for wear on the front end as well, Tim. So definitely, I think when you say they've been locked together, I think quite, they have definitely locked horns and a little bit of rubbing. But Spenkling looking very impatient on Tractor now. He's looking to force the move. He's really climbing all over the back of that Ginetta in front. He's got the inside line now. If he's got the legs, and I think he has, he's pulled alongside. He's just got to hit this braking zone now and stop the Ginetta from really getting the switch back, cut back onto the inside, and he does that. He holds it wide. He runs a little bit wide though, and that's going to give Tractor the chance to go back up the inside, but that is going to turn into the outside for the next corner. So I think Spenkling's got that move done. A little bit of contact there, not quite sure who was at fault there really. It just looked a little bit of a coming together, but that's cemented the position for Spenkling. But Lomans is definitely now in the pound seat for attacking Spenkling, because Tractor has just lost 2 positions in one corner, but he's coming back and he's attacking as hard as he can and looking like he's going to be brave, but not brave enough.
Nearly up the inside for Tractor, who lost 2 positions in the space of only 2 or 3 corners there. So Tractor down to 10th, but crucially Spenkling gaining positions now inside the top 10 up to 8th place and looking to kick on and close what now is a 2.5 second gap to Suke Vervat in the number 73 Aston Martin. A great fight between Tractor, Lermans and Spenkelink there within the final 13 minutes of this race, as Delort and Weaver still together on track, and it looks like Weaver's actually made the pass on this previous lap, so the 737 ahead of the 49.
Yeah, I just chuckled there. I think they've swapped positions again, Tim. I think they're just they're having a good time. They're having a battle. They're having a race, and they're probably really enjoying it between themselves. And it's good to see, you know, battling away down here for what is 16th position, and pushing hard as anybody, fighting as if it was the lead. But at the end of the day, anybody who sim races will tell you that it's not always about the winning. It's just about the race and who you're racing with, where you are on the track. You can almost discount your position if you're having a good race.
I'll tell you who is the star of the race at the moment is the hood catch there on Alexander Delort's Porsche, somehow keeping the hood from flying open. So that's certainly my performance of the race so far. As Patrick Tractor, though, looking to fight back on Arjen Lerman, making another mistake there into Tremonti. It looks like the Ginetta isn't so settled on the brakes into the right-hander, and getting a bit of a wiggle on in the braking zone, and again in towards turn 13, a big slide from the 313, and in fact Walters behind doing exactly the same as he looks to close up onto the top 10. So this duo is going to become a trio shortly, and indeed it has done. Walters closing up through the final couple of corners here. And as Lermans runs wide there, and it looks like Walters learnt his lesson from the previous laps. He's kept the car well within track limits at the final corner. There's a blue flag being waved. I believe that's for a car just slightly further up the track as they round through the opening corners. Walters looking to the inside through turn 3. And he's alongside now Patrick Tractor as they run into Curve Del Rio, and on the brakes Walters goes in deep, but it's too deep. He goes straight on, misses the corner, off into the runoff. Lucky to avoid Charlotte Robertson there, who was the car receiving the blue flag and doing her best to get out of the way. Very heads up driving from the number 87 Ginetta, but Walters trying to make the move, and once again Steve just maybe going in a little bit too hot-headed and making a mistake.
Yeah, definitely. That was a send and a half, and really just not sure if he missed the breaking point, what he did there really, but he just he ran wide, and you know, thankfully didn't make contact with anybody. But it's so easy as the defending driver sometimes when you see a car coming like that to actually get sucked into doing the same thing. So Walters Tractor did very, very well not to brake as late as Walters and end up in the same position off the track. So great heads up driving from him. But we see that from Tractor, don't we? Round after round, he's a very, very consistent driver, and he's really put this Ginetta to good use throughout this GT4 Championship, having some strong results, always been around the top 10 in and thereabouts. Not always the best at qualifying, but certainly always had good race pace, and if he isn't the fastest, he's certainly one of the most consistent, it has to be said.
An excellent performance indeed at the moment from the driver of the number 313 Ginetta. His best result of the season coming at Spa, where he finished in 7th place. And I remember him finishing strongly at Suzuka, getting inside the top 10 after starting 23rd on the grid. So he has had pace at times here in this Ginetta, and like Steve says, managing to find himself into the top 10 on more occasions than not. It seems just qualifying could potentially be his downfall, because 23rd, 15th, 11th, 15th, he seems to be outside the top 10 quite consistently on the grid, fights his way through come the race. But here's Denise Pope on screen at the moment, the best place of the Ginettas so far, and deservedly so. 8.5 minutes to go. She's in 5th place.
She's going to come under a bit of pressure though, Tim. Yeah, she's going to come under pressure. That was just what I saw. Sorry to interrupt you there. Saw the timings there, and Vale was sort of like 4/10 faster last lap, and he's closed the gap up, and he is closing the gap. It seems that Denise Pope has maybe either a little bit of a mistake on the last lap, or she's just losing a little bit of pace in that Ginetta, because she's not lapping as fast as Garland now. Garland's last lap, the gap, it's round about 17-18 seconds, whereas previously it was down to 16 seconds. So it's going the wrong direction for Pope. But like you say, 8 minutes to go. 1.5 seconds back to Vale. Can she maintain that 5th position? I mean, it has to be said, anywhere inside the top 10 based on the season's results so far is a win-win for Pope. Whatever you want at this point in the race, you know, it can finish now, and it's been an absolutely fantastic drive for her. She's really shown some good consistent driving, but it looks like Vale's got the legs. I mean, he's closing up now fairly rapidly, and is bringing Vivat with him in 7th place as well. So this is going to turn into a 3-car battle very, very soon.
And looming in the background all the while is Sem Spenkelink in the 76 KTM. He's going to be looking for positions as well in this final 7 minutes of the race here at Misano. If you are enjoying the action, and how could you not be with all the battling we've had up and down the order, please subscribe to the SRHI YouTube channel and like this video. And if you can get that done before the checkered flag, let's see what action will come after you've managed to hit that like button. So definitely go and do that now. As Sandra Vale drawing my attention there as I try to finish a sentence, unable to do so as Vale closes up massively in this opening sector to Denise Pope. Suke Burvat going with him as well, closing on the number 79. And the last thing Denise can do now, the last thing she'll need to do is keep her eyes locked on the mirror. It's all about keeping focused on where you're going. Eyes forward, Steve, is surely the name of the game at the moment for Pope.
Yeah, absolutely. She's just got to, as we always say in this situation, she's got to drive her line. She's got to, you know, do what she needs to do, put the car where she needs it, and focus on doing that, hitting the apexes, hitting the braking points, you know, get that turning just right, get the power on as soon as she can, and not worry about the car behind. Because look, if you know, these guys, Vale is having a battle of his own as well, and it may not just be an open and shut case that he's going to catch Denise and pass her, because as I say, there's going to be 3 cars involved in this, and 3 people with different opinions.
As they round the opening 3 corners,
make that 4. Make that 4. Sorry.
Here it is, Spenkelink. He's going to join the party, isn't he? Well, if we threw the checkered flag now, we would leave Misano, Valenduk, championship leader, 186 points, Kroll 184, then Spenkelink 177 ahead of Malot's 159. But I get the feeling that in this final 5.5 minutes, Spenkelink's going to add some more points to his name and gain some more position after fighting back, being facing the wrong way and in a collision in the opening lap. He's now in with the shot of a top 5 finish. He's going to have to pass 3 cars to get that though. 5 minutes to go here at Misano, and what a race we've had, and it's not over yet. As heading on to the back stretch now, Denise Pope leading this train of cars, who I'm sure all of them have a better top speed than the Ginetta. The KTM actually might be close for terminal velocity, but certainly in the straight line sections, Denise will be losing out. So she'll have to make it count here through the corners like Caro in the final sector, and she's doing just that, much better on the brakes than Vale, who just seems to understeer into turn 14. And through the final 2 corners, Pope managing just to stretch her legs slightly, and yes, look, extending the gap still. So a great final sector there from Pope. She pulls over to the pit wall to avoid handing out more slipstream than she needs to. In towards turns 1, 2 and 3, this switchback chicane sequence. Pope, Vale, Vervat, Spenkelink. I would put my money on this order not staying the same in this final 4 minutes, as Thomas Walters picks up another drive-through penalty in 11th, so that must be for track limits once again, as Pope holds on to 5th place for the life of her at the moment.
Just in the background there, we saw Spenkelink just take a chunk out of Vervat's rear fender and just not turned him, but just managed to shove him out of the way, and yeah, he's gained a position from that as Spenkelink. But looks like Vale, ever the opportunist there, just putting a little bit of pressure on Denise and trying to, like I say, just show his nose, but didn't quite work that time. But he's definitely making his intentions, and the thing is now, with that little bit of contact with Spenkelink, looks like he's given the position back, but that's created a gap now, and that's given Vale some space to concentrate on the 79 Ginetta of Pope in front of him now, so it's just a two-car battle at this point.
Splitting off into two individual fights then, so it's Pope and Vale fighting for 5th, and Vervat and Spenkelink fighting for 7th place. Every point is going to count in this championship fight. This is the penultimate round of the season. There'll only be one more opportunity to stake your claim for the championship title here in the GT4 GT4s at Sim Racing Hub International. Valenduk leading the way, 1.6 seconds over Tim Krul. Those two have been untouchable all race. Danny de Swartz in 3rd, 17 seconds back, and set for a podium finish. As once again, Vale looks to the outside through turn 2. Can't get the job done on Denise Pope. Can he set up a run in towards turn 4 at Del Rio? He certainly looks to have the speed in a straight line. Denise just taking a diagonal braking zone to close the door, and again having to do so through the right-hander at 5 and into 6. Vale has to accept that the move's not on just yet. We're going to get a couple more laps here at Misano as Pope pulls to the inside to just break the slipstream, not give away any kilometre an hour if possible. In towards Curva Crescia. He holds on to 5th place for now. The gap was 0.3 of a second at the last timing split, as it looks like Spenkelink again has got the job done on Suke Vervat. Up to 7th place is our championship leader coming into this round at Misano. I'm not sure he will be championship leader when we leave it. A bit of a difficult race for Spenkelink and a true test of character, like Steve said it would be after that lap 1 incident. 1 minute 20 seconds to go, and yes, it looks like we're going to get this could be the final lap as Valenduk and Kroll head into turn 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And Denise just doing what she needs to do. She's been listening to me, hasn't she? She's driving those lines. She's driving her own line. She's doing what she needs to do. She's playing to the strengths of Ginetta, and she's holding that position. She's holding a fantastic 5th place. If she can just do this for, like you say, one more lap, this could be one of her best finishes this season in the GT4s, I believe. Do you know what her current best finish is this season, Tim?
Her best finish so far this season was a P10 at Spa, so easily beating that. But I've just noticed, Steve, that the gap between the leaders has come right down as we see Vale look to the outside into turn 4, then ducks to the inside. Can he get the job done? Yes, the Porsche goes through. So that is P5 for Vale, Pope down to P6. But the gap at the front is a matter of tenths. It's now down to 0.7 of a second. Kroll has really closed up on this lap. I wonder if Valenduk might be just lifting and coasting his way home on the fuel. This will be the final lap as the timer is about to tick down to 0. Pope fights back, reclaims 5th place at turn 7. She gets through on Vale. She's not going to go down without a fight, but through the final corner and onto the start-finish straight to take the checkered flag. Yannick Valenduk wins, and in doing so takes the championship lead heading into the final round at the Nürburgring. Kroll takes 2nd place in the 933 Porsche, exactly what he needed to do to keep his championship hopes alive. Then it's Danny de Swartz who returns to the podium for the first time since the 2nd round at Suzuka, where he won the race. The number 57 Mercedes up to 3rd place. Then it's Garland and Pope, who looks to have lost out to Vale once again. And Spenkelink's going to make the move on the inside into turn 14. He gets up to 6th place then. And, up to 6th place. So it looks like Vale's going to hold on to 5th place. Spenkelink 6th. Denise Pope dropping down to 7th on that final lap of the race. But still, what a performance from the 79. As Suke Vervat will take 8th ahead of Lermans and Patrick Tractor in 10th. They're all together as they cross the line. Then Nicholas Malott is going to be 11th place, recovering from outside the top 20 as well. Important to get a couple of points against his name for 11th place, but I'm not sure it will be enough to keep his championship hopes alive. I'll tally up some points once we've called them across the line. Stefan Arvidsson in 12th, ahead of Evan Atafas in 13th. Then it is Dmitry Schenk in 14th, and Daniel Herkstra rounds out the points in 15th position in the number 66 Aston Martin. But Steve, I'm losing my voice a little bit because battles at the front, battles at the back, battles in the first and last minute. That race had everything.
Yeah, absolutely, mate, and well done for calling that last lap there. I mean, that was awesome. I mean, I had to cut back to Denise Pope there because she gave it absolutely everything. I mean, you know, well done to the winners, Valenduk and Kroll, for fighting back and, you know, potentially getting back up to to within striking distance towards the end there. But what a race that was, and you know, what a battle for Pope. She didn't give up, did she? She was determined to fight on and to try and make something of that battle right at the end, even though, you know, she'd lost that position. And Spenkelink, it has to be said, not lucky but opportunistic there, that he managed to get past the other guys, and he really closed that gap down, and he stole 6th place away from her, and a great result. But yeah, we've been spoilt this evening. We've had some fantastic racing there, and I for one am not disappointed with what I saw there tonight. Regardless of finishing positions, everybody deserves a round of applause there. Absolutely awesome racing.
It looks like the championship picture will have changed quite significantly as a result of the finishing order tonight, and it will be Yannick Valenduk that takes the championship lead for now, as we just see that incident there at turn 7 on the opening lap that was what forced Spenkelink down the order. But we've got drivers in here for a word post-race, and let's bring them in. The top 2 finishers, Yannick Valenduk and Tim Kroll, but we'll go to Yannick first. Yannick, a really strong race from you, pole position in the race win. You had to fight your way through though after making that mistake, but wow, what a performance for you in the number 301 BMW.
Yeah, thanks guys. Oh, whoa, that was tense. That was very tense. I made it myself not easy today.
It certainly was close, wasn't it? And you were matched for pace throughout the entirety of the race by Tim Kroll and early on by Thomas Walters. How was that battle early on? Did you feel, you know, following that mistake at Tremonto, that you could get past, or were you worried that actually it was going to be difficult to reclaim the race lead?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I made a little error, just as I said to myself, just focus on your laps, and then I made an error. And well, I wasn't sure how easy it was going to be to overtake. I mean, I had the pace in clean air, but I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough to overtake. But in the end I had, luckily. So I'm not sure what happened with Walters though. I hope it's not my fault. It was a bit, yeah, I don't know what happened there, but well, yeah.
Well, going into the final round of the season at the Nürburgring, with tonight's victory, you jump up to the championship lead. You've got 2 points now over Tim Kroll in the standings. How do you feel about that then, going into the final round with the championship lead? Are you just going to treat it as any other race, or will you be playing, you know, a different game at the final round to see if you can be crowned champion?
Oh really? I'm in the league. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, that's wow, that's gonna be tense next week. I'm gonna have to do some mindfulness or something to cool myself down, because I was struggling with my nerves a little bit today. So I'll have to be yeah, I'm just gonna take it as a normal race, but I'll try to win, of course, next time. I'll go for it.
Pole position tonight as well at Misano, and you had a pole position at Zolder that saw you take the race victory. Do you feel you found something in qualifying? You were 12th place at Spa, 8th at Zandvoort. Do you think you've managed to unlock some one lap pace in the BMW?
Yeah, definitely. I expected it to be stronger, to be honest, but I think the biggest thing is, as long as it's dry, then I'm really fighting for the lead and for the win. But those rain races were struggling, so I'm gonna pray it's not gonna rain next time out. And actually, less track cuts, because I was cutting it very close. That was why I was so slow in the end.
Well, thank you very much, Yannick, for joining us in the commentary booth, and congratulations on your victory tonight.
Thanks, guys.
We'll go over to Tim.
Yeah, Silverstone is, let's not talk about that one anymore. I botched that one up, but yeah, I'm very happy with P2. And now I was thinking, Yannick he had the pace on me just in the end, I think. But on the end, I think I was 3.5 seconds behind on some point, and we ended up like within a second. But so yeah, the race didn't need to be longer, I think, for 2 laps, or I might have got him as well.
But it close as ever at the top of the pile here at SRHI, and qualifying at the top 3 separated by less than 900ths of a second. How important is qualifying in this championship? Because we haven't had a driver win from outside of the top 6 in any of the races so far this season. Is it really half the battle in this championship?
Well, I think you're asking the wrong guy, because normally I'm not the greatest qualifier. I mean, my qualified setup is just my race trim with less fuel. But it at least helps you with well, when you're not mid-pack, at least you don't have to watch out, brake very early and all that. So you're not being held up from the beginning, which makes it easier to get away. So yeah, in that sense, it does help a lot if you qualify good. But yeah, it was very, very close. I think Sam and me were 30 thousandths or something apart.
Yep.
5,000. It was
super close as always. And speaking of super close, the championship fight, 2 points between yourself and Yannick, and then it's only 5 points back to Sem. What's your attitude then going into the final race? Because it's all to play for.
Nürburgring is my favorite track, and I'm gonna practice my behind off to say it like that. Yeah, I want to at least get a podium. I mean, when I started, I would be happy with top 10, but yeah, it's very close, and I'm up there. So now I want to go all the way. So yeah, let's bring it. Last race and see what happens.
Looking forward to it. Well, congratulations, Tim, on your result this evening.
Thank you, and Yannick, congratulations as well on the victory.
Well, thank you very much to Tim Krul and Yannick Vallander. Yannick taking the race win tonight and setting us up for a spectacular finale in this championship at the Nürburgring. And Steve, great to hear from the 2 drivers there, because it sounds like we couldn't wipe the smile off their faces this evening and nothing could do. Very strong performances. They're going into the final round at the Nürburgring, believing that the championship could be theirs.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's like I said during the race there. I mean, yeah, those guys were fighting for the win, but there'll be a few more drivers feeling like that this evening, because there was some awesome battling out there. And like I say, it's not always about the finishing position. It's about the battles you have, how fair they are, how hard they are, and how close they are. You know, not necessarily in that order, but you know, all those bits thrown into the mix. And we certainly had some spicy battles this evening. And as I said before, we had some full sends as well, which were executed 10 out of 10. You know, they were absolutely perfect, and some great battles. But the story for me tonight has to be, you know, that yes, the battle up front was very, very good from those 2 drivers. They showed great pace, great consistency. One little mistake from Vallander, where he recovered from that to take the race win. But Spenklink's great drive back through. Not quite sure what happened to him at the pits, because I do feel he could have been maybe even higher up. But to come from wherever he was in the nether regions of the 20 odds back up to P6 in the last couple of corners, that's a great drive from him. But let's the other story of the evening, Denise Pope, fantastic drive from her tonight. Absolutely, I don't think I saw put a foot wrong. That was literally, you know, every time we were watching her on track, and obviously I have the privilege of having a couple of screens, so I see them when they're not being showed as well. I'm queuing the battles up. I was watching her, and she was literally inch perfect, and really deserved. She got 7th, but I think she deserved that 5th place that she was in tonight, Tim.
Indeed, I would agree with you. A really stellar performance from Pope, achieving her best result of the season so far. So let's wrap it up there then. This has been the penultimate round of the championship. I can't quite believe it, but it's going down to the wire. In 2 weeks' time at the Nürburgring, we will be crowning the Sim Racing Hub International GT4 champion here in season 2. We've had absolutely everything in this season so far, and that race in itself was a perfect look through the shop window at what this championship has to offer. It's going to go down to the wire. Valenduk leading the points with Kroll, Spenkelink and Malott still within a mathematical chance of taking home the title. You will not want to miss it. From Steve Proudly and myself, Tim Fulwick, part of the SimSport Solutions commentary and production team here, thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast. This has been round 8. One more race to go. It's all to play for. I look forward to seeing you then, 6th of July on the SRHI TV YouTube channel. Until then, good night.
Good job, buddy.